What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Comm Chatter. Today, I'm flying alongside one of my favorite Star Wars people, personalities, podcasters, Ken Napzok from Force Center Podcast. How's it going, Ken?
Hey, Alex, it's great to be here. I really love this game, but I didn't really play it much after I finished the story. No reason, just didn't. Sorry, as I adjust my mic live on an air. I'm an amateur here, Alex. I apologize. But I'm not only looking forward to some pew 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 action. I'm looking forward to you teaching me how to fly.
Happily.
Yeah.
You got the basic default outfit here. We're ready to go.
Ready to go. What are you best at flying?
I like the Interceptor. That's usually what I go for, but I guess I would go Bomber after that.
Okay.
The Fighter's the one that I don't spend a lot of time in, which is weird because I love the X-Wing. But
you're a classic X-Wing guy, yeah. But Interceptor makes sense. The B-Wing is available now, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's weird, but it's fun. So the gist of this podcast is that we're going to fly around and we're going to play the game. Right now we're just against AI. Easy AI even, but we're going to do our best to carry on a conversation while we're flying around and trying to take down a Star Destroyer. But it actually does occur to me, I don't think we've talked a whole lot about like our introductions to Star Wars, or I don't feel like I know your story. So what was your introduction to Star Wars? When did you first become a fan?
First became a fan in '83, seeing Return of the Jedi in the theater. I am of the age that Star Wars was real fresh, but I was also real fresh myself. So I was one in '77, and I did see it at a drive-in. My parents swaddled me in a blanket in a Volkswagen van. Classic '70s story. But you know, you don't really. Till you're like 6 or 7, you don't really you can't identify what's what. So I grew up thinking
it's now on the record that you saw A New Hope and didn't care for it.
Didn't care for it. Yeah, and between that time and when I saw Return of the Jedi in '83, I thought Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers and Star Wars were all the same. You know what I mean? Like, you're like 4 or 5. I remember my cousin had figures for all of them. And I just assumed, like, where was that deep robot in Star Wars? Like, the one that's from Buck Rogers. Where he wasn't in the movie. I didn't understand. So it wasn't until Return of the Jedi that I was 7, saw it, and absolutely just left the theater in love.
What was it about Return of the Jedi that really grabbed your attention?
You start with the cool action, right? Like, that's why I always say it's okay to watch Star Wars for just the pew 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 of it all. We killing Iden Versio's ship? Okay. I don't know if I can deal with that. You know what I mean?
She's defected by now, so we're safe.
That's true in the timeline. We need to talk about how Iden, Shriv, and Carson Teva need to be the Rangers of the new Republic.
Ooh, yeah, give me some Shriv.
But yeah, so it just was the world. So, it's crazy action. It's Luke on the katana. It's all those things, and your fandom grows and matures and all that stuff. Of course it does, naturally, and it should. But, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And that goes to the Ewoks. And I had an anti-Ewok phase in my life. But I can't deny that at 7 years old, I didn't question. It was like, yeah, those teddy bears are helping, and that's cool. So that's kind of where it was for me. Oh, boy. I evaded a missile. I do not know how, Alex. I completed the story mode. I really did. I'm not horrible. I just had fun.
You have everything you need.
Good. I love that quote. That's a quote from Indiana Jones.
What is your favorite Star Wars story now? Whether it is a movie or a book, it could be anything.
Oh, favorite Star Wars story. Wow, that's an interesting way to phrase it, because you and I are riding the high from Light of the Jedi, and it's my. I'm almost comfortable, saying it as that's my favorite Star Wars book, and I love a lot of the new canon ones. You know that. God, man, that got me. Oh, I died. Does that mean the show's over? Show's over.
That's it. We got to shut it down.
Okay. Oh, they're replaying my death. That's a cruel and unusual punishment, but I like it. It might be. It might be Return of the Jedi, if that makes sense. Even though if you're talking about story, not movie. I would say Return of the Jedi. It's victory. It's the light and dark in a battle. The choice to be better. The choice to change your path. It's redemption, and all that shows up in every other part of Star Wars, obviously. But that's part of what got that movie, or what that movie did to pull me into Star Wars.
Yeah.
All those big themes. So yeah.
That's. I don't think I've ever really thought about the way I even asked that question. Is that yeah, your favorite Star Wars story might be different from your favorite movie.
Right.
So what is your favorite Star Wars movie, and what makes it not your favorite story? Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I'm cliche in that regard. I do love Empire. Only because it still blows my mind that they, that. Oh man, is it a good idea to just run into the cruisers?
Only if it's like Arvel Crinid time, just right at the end there.
I skimmed it, and then all right, we're gonna, tell me if we need to coordinate something too. I'm okay with that there. Next time I'm gonna change my starfighter. I might try to fly the B-wing just to satisfy that 7-year-old inside me. Yeah, Empire. I mean, it still blows my mind that they were able to pull that off, following such a self-contained story in A New Hope, and that's ends pretty hopeful. We blew up the orb and we win, and then to follow that up with and then it gets worse. Which classic second act stuff. That's as old as time, but to do that on that level was pretty cool, and I love living in that movie a lot. And the Dagobah sequence just continues to get bigger in my mind. That stuff about Taika Waititi was saying in the gallery stuff, just like it kind of blows his mind when you think about the whole sequence and some of the stuff in there and the lessons and everything. That sticks with me.
Yeah.
All right, are we defending the frigates? Okay, we're defending the.
Ooh, I just let a rocket hit me. Okay.
Rocket Man, I died. There must be something wrong with my armor, right? All right, I'm gonna switch ships. We'll see how this goes.
Your B-wing.
I'm gonna give the B-wing a go here. Famous last words. I'm a fan of the Mon Calamari, and I know they have still even in canon have something to do with this.
Yeah, Star Wars Rebels.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't feel any different in my brain. Is there a button I press and I go sideways?
Yeah. I think you have to, like, hold one of the triggers. I keep looking over, like, I can see your gameplay, and I can't.
I mean, I've got the... Gosh, I had all these controls memorized. I swear I did. All right, I'm going to take you out. What are these... What's the Corvus called? What's the
Raider.
The Raider. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, but I like it. What's your favorite story? Star Wars story? Don't say Revan. Don't say Revan.
Oh, no. It's more... Or it's still A New Hope. Like, that's always probably going to be my gold standard. In the past 5 years or so, I'd probably go with... Fallen Order. I couldn't even remember the name of it for a second, but I loved Fallen Order. Light of the Jedi's up there for me, though.
Light of the Jedi. It's obviously doing something different, and it's setting up other things. I love the Fallen Order answer. I do love a lot of things in the story. The game frustrated me because even though I play games a lot, I am still that generation that's like, why am I looking up? So what pulled you in about that story?
I think I was so unexpected. Or I did not expect how much I would love it. I thought it was going to be a fun, like, hack and slash, but they just put so much thought and love into the story.
Right.
Doing things like experiencing Order 66 from another point of view, I thought was a really great touch.
Right.
I don't know. They did so much stuff that was new, but they also balanced it with familiar, getting to go to Ilum. Like, I just remember my mouth being on the floor for the second half of that game.
Yeah, the Ilum stuff's great. That's currently where I'm lost on my replay. I didn't replay the story, but like I just was like, let me pick up the game and maybe figure getting stuff out again. And I'm stuck on Ilum. I can't get off this ice slides. Yeah, no, look, the game deals with a lot of trauma. It's in a different, it's in a familiar timeline, but a different corner, not just literally, but just like emotionally, and I'm there for a lot of stuff. I do like the Inquisitor, that kind of that storyline. She was great, and Marin, I really do like Marin a lot too. So there's a lot to love in that story, and I know a lot of people loved it. The game, I kept falling off the ledges, and I just after a while you're throwing your controller down, and that's its own kind of trauma.
Yeah. What era of Star Wars do you feel like you like the most?
I love the Battle of the Rebellion versus the Empire. I am all about that. I always talk about war over lore, but meaning that kind of the Jedi stuff too. Though I mean that continues to teach me things. And how many times have I died versus you died?
I think I've died once.
God bless you.
Not trying to brag here, but
no, I mean you're ranked 115 and I'm ranked 1. There's going to be problems. What was I saying? This is this is your show, right?
This is the point.
Okay.
Yeah, your favorite era.
Oh yeah, it's that, and then I have loved the from Solo to the beginning of New Hope and New Hope, of course. Like I just love that what I call the Rogue One era, which includes Rebel Rising, Catalyst.
They're calling that, I think, the age of the Empire right now.
The Empire or whatever it is. Like that's what I'm looking forward to, the Cassian series. I still want I want Infant's Nest. I want a little bit more there. And that's why I love a lot of what Solo does. It's I'm big. Han Solo's my favorite character, but just that era, the rebellion, the groundswell, where it comes from, and where it ends up too, and how it needs to go to Mothma, it needs to go to the military, it needs to go to Raddus, and those type, and Scrimshaw's least favorite politician, Nowhere Jabel, who's like, Death Star's not that bad. That's very interesting to me, and how it all leads to the Battle of Endor and Battle of Jakku and all that stuff. But I love that era leading up to New Hope. I really do. And I do want more storytelling there.
What faction do you like the most?
I own a lot of Imperial merch, and over the last 5 years, that's been. Let's just say last week I thought twice about picking up Imperial merch and put on a Rebel mask to wear outside. It's the age-old thing, man. It's like G.I. Joe and Cobra. I have more Cobra toys because they have cooler toys, and the Empire has cooler toys. And when you're 7, you're glad they lost, but you're like, those walkers were pretty cool. And I always kind of like the TIE Interceptor is probably my favorite ship on their side. So yeah, that stuff, but do I celebrate the Empire? No. Am I rooting for Palpatine to win? He's one of my favorite characters because I love to dive into what he means to Star Wars and us even in the real world, but I'm not rooting for him to win.
Of course.
Yeah. You're a Jedi guy, right? Or you just want to fly with Wedge?
No, I'm a pilot, like a Rebel pilot specifically. That'd be my major fandom, I'd say.
Do you want me to break it down even more? Because
no, you don't have to.
I'd be a biker scout, even though
cool.
I've never ridden a motorcycle in my life because I'm too afraid to die. But I love the biker scouts. I always have, even after Sudeikis and Pally punched Grogu. Ooh, I thought I evaded. It said missile evaded as I died. That's not fair.
Well, I just accidentally blew up a shield generator, so we're doing pretty good.
We're good. I did help take down that ship. I feel like I'm not a complete waste.
Well, the last question I always like to ask everyone is, what is your favorite B-list or lower character? So not a main character. You already said Han, but who's a character who you think you probably love more than anyone else in the world?
I mean, I'm a big Raddus fan. That kind of came out of just Rogue One. I love the sound. I love the emotional weight he brings to the battle. Rogue One, May the Force be with you, makes me tear up. And then I had the pleasure of meeting Stephen Stanton. Like a lot of people know Stephen, and a great voiceover guy who does the voice of Raddus. Paul Casey does Raddus himself, and that just made me love Raddus even more. But so I've become kind of a homer, as they would say in the old days, to stand, and nowadays for Raddus. Wedge, I'll tell you what, though, I grew up, I know you love Biggs, and I get it, because Wedge was, as a youngster, was one of the first kind of schoolyard conversations where you knew his name. Like, even though they say it in the movie, like, it's not a hard fact to learn, but, like,
Right.
when you're 9 on the playground, you're like, that guy's called Wedge Antilles? Like, I have an affinity for Wedge, and that's why I wrote in the book, Why We Love Star Wars, I wrote that early chapter, the early essay about him getting to say lock S foils intact position, which was kind of this promotion, and how the traditions of Star Wars are important. But also, it was great to know that Wedge worked his way up, man. He worked his way up. He survived, and I loved it there. So I get you. Yeah, that. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, I have a weird. Again, I'm not rooting for the Empire. I swear. I love Imperial officers or First Order officers. Moden Kennedy is another one of my favorite characters.
Sure. I was talking to Veer's Watch earlier today. There's no judgment for enjoying the bad guys, as long as it's fiction.
I love Moff Tianjir Gerard, and this is how dorky I was. This is why my social life was as expected. And this is back in an era where nerd meant nerd. It wasn't like, the fact that I love Star Wars was a fact I had to keep hidden for most of my childhood and into high school, until you found friends who you'd whisper, "Do you like Star Wars? Oh God, yes. Yes, let's talk about Star Wars secretly behind the shed." I in my 11th grade art class, we had to do like a calligraphy or something like that. So I used the quote from the Return of the Jedi novelization by James Caan, where Gerard is going to meet Vader, and he's talking in his head, and he's an Imperial officer. He's kind of smug, and he kind of is a privileged background, and kind of all that kind of stuff that you learn later on as you grow up. But he has this great quote about great men never hurry, great men cause others to hurry. And I loved that, and I just was obsessed with it, and I made a calligraphy art piece. And I even attributed the quote. Here I am, 17 in high school. My teacher's like, "That's a great quote." I'm like, "It's from Moff Gerard." Like, what? Like, this guy who, the administrator of the second Death Star. Okay, Ken. Please go home.
Never mind.
Yeah, go home alone again. So, I get the Imperial officer, or the First Order officers. Even. I mean, and Moden Kennedy might as well be an Imperial officer. So.
Yeah, I figure they're all lumped in there.
Yeah, and I do have I love Tali Lintra. I always say I have a little space crush on Tali Lintra. It's hard not to, and she's so good. Scrimshaw said early on, Hermione Corfield should teach lessons on cockpit acting. She's so good at just delivering the lines.
Oh yeah, for as little as she is in that movie, people were really like, "Justice for Tali."
Yeah, the last smirk of Tali Lintra, as I call it, and I love Tali too. So there's a lot of those. That's the fun thing, and that comes. I really believe that comes from the figures, man. The Kenner figures back in the day. It was like they needed to sell toys. It's like Walrus Man, put him in there, and then that way you're paying attention to those kind of characters. And Star Wars doesn't waste a lot of background characters.
Agreed. That's one of my favorite things about Star Wars is that so many of these characters, everyone has potential for a story.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just.
Did you die? Because I just died.
I didn't die, but it was close. It was dicey there.
We're trying to take out the Star Destroyer, right? That's all we have left. Okay.
Yep, we're doing good. We're doing all right.
I'm gonna switch to the Y-wing here and do a bombing run. That's the favorite part of one of the story mode. Late in the story mode on Squadrons, you got to do a strafing run, and I wasn't great, as anyone watching can say. I'm clearly not great at this game, but that was one of the moments I felt like a kid, and I really love the designers and writers of this game, because I got to get in a Y-wing, go kind of sideways at an angle, and just drop bombs. And I've been waiting my whole life for that. I should need to do it now, but I'm gonna take out some guns for you. I'll clear out these guns. Oh, and I died. That's the story of my Star Wars video game memoir. Oh, I died.
So something I've noticed about you through all of your years of Jedi Council and everything, you always kind of refer to yourself as a grump, but yeah. I just also think that you're one of the most accepting and welcoming Star Wars fans that I know. So how did you strike that balance?
I I am just kind of grumpy in normal life. I'm a little bit. I didn't know when I chose Han Solo as my favorite character because as a kid you have a draft with yourself, like who am I going to invest in for my entire life. Han was smooth talking scoundrel who, from my mind, gets the girl, right, which was something I was interested in. So I saw that, and I'm not that guy, and there's a lot of that. But I grew up with Han as Han grew up with himself, and like Force Awakens Han is more me than anything. And who just kind of runs away from stuff, doesn't want to deal with it. I'm probably more a good person than I want to be, and I had to work at a job there. I'd gotten a lot of fights and arresting people, and I wasn't a tough kid, and I had to kind of cultivate. And I been in pro wrestling, and had to you're in tough locker room situations where you kind of got to maybe act tougher than you want to be or are. In my case, and there's a lot of Han in there. And then, but always in the end, choosing the right thing, choosing what he knows he needs to do to help others. And so there's some of that, but I just get, I don't know. I'm grumpy about. I don't like watching movies. I don't like talking movies. That became something I was known for, and I just try not to be publicly. And when it comes to Star Wars, I think I would have been grumpy if I had started Force Center in 2010. I would have been, prequels are stupid. And even though I was secretly watching Revenge of the Sith and not telling anyone over and over and over on DVD, I would literally look around my room like, I hope no one's looking in my window because I like this movie. The movie's bad, all that kind of stuff. And I grew and changed. And then by the time we started doing, I'll tell you what it was, Jedi Alliance in 2014. Harloff and Ellis launched that show on what became Popcorn Talk Network, and then they contacted me, and Christian wasn't going to be able to do it, and so why don't you take the show? And I said, can I work with Maude Garrett, who I didn't even really know. I knew her through Alicia Malone, but I hadn't spent a ton of time around Maude. And I just she just has a radio broadcaster, and so am I, and we can work together. And we did. She was one of my favorite people to talk Star Wars with, or just broadcast with. So we kind of developed the show. It was like celebratory and everything. And we'd make our little prequel jokes here and there. And by the way, I still make them. And I still make Star Wars jokes about all the movies. And
I think that's part of the joy of it.
It's absolutely part of the joy. It's like we agree. We love these things. But let's also admit some of it's kind of silly. All right. We did something good there, right?
We lost.
We lost?
But it's only two of us. It's only two of us fighting against 5. So.
All right. We can keep going.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
That was a warm-up. That was a warm-up.
No. Okay, that's a warm-up. Long story short, we would take a little shot here and there at the prequels, and people would write us very nicely. And this is 2014, so probably a little different time. They'd be like, hey, those are... I love all the movies and can't wait for the new ones to come out because this is 2014. But man, I grew up on the prequels. And you're kind of attacking my movies. And even though I get what you're saying, and it was, so we had a couple of those moments, and I started to view it differently and did not want to hold on to just my view of Star Wars. And then even now, I mean, Scrimshaw and I are definitely in agreement on a lot of things, but there's little things we each gravitate to that are different than the others, or we never have the only thing we've really hugely disagreed on is I just didn't like Timothy Olyphant as Cobb Vanth, and he loved him. And that was the end of our debate. Was good point. That was it. Let me know if I need to press buttons.
What did I do?
I don't know. It's saying,
what is this?
If for a while it said I was the administrator of the fight, which we don't want that. New Republic. Yeah, so you don't know what it's doing. You're not even there.
Oh, that's why I put it into... No, that's not what I did.
Galactic, random.
There we go. Okay, I figured it out. Well, since you brought up Force Center, how did Force Center come to be?
How did it come to be? It was, let's see, I had Napzok Files, which is still going. It's more, I have a comedy podcast now called Saturday Night Napzok that is pretty much just that feed now. But I was after the sale in 2012, I mean, you can kind of, and at the same time that digital media was growing and talking about movies and pop culture was growing, that seemed like a fun thing. Let's talk Star Wars. So I started doing a show on my podcast feed called Spotlight: Star Wars, because I was going to do Spotlight Game of Thrones or Spotlight Pro Wrestling or Spotlight Baseball. There's other things I had that I had interest in. And then I started Jedi Alliance or got, Mod and I were in Jedi Alliance. And I knew towards the end of that, I knew I was going to have to give that up because I was going to go work for Screen Junkies. And I was like, well, I still want to talk about Star Wars, especially with the movies coming out. So Scrimshaw and I had worked together on Jedi Alliance, and he had taken over Jedi Alliance with Donica and Roka and all the stuff at that point. And so I reached out to Joseph and I said, hey, would you want to launch this thing? And he came back with some ideas, and we said, let's work with Jennifer Landa. Jennifer was going to be the replacement for Maude Garrett when Maude Garrett had to leave Jedi Alliance. And I did not know Jennifer, and I reached out via YouTube or business email and said, would you want to come be a guest on the show? And I was going to, if that, I figured she'd probably work out really well. Me and Phil Svitek, who was running Popcorn Talk at the time for AfterBuzz and everything, we were going to like sit her down afterwards, like, hey, would you want to do this weekly? And she showed up like 8.5 months pregnant. And she was like, I'll be out of commission for a bit. So Joseph and I brought her help build up Force Center with us. And so kind of came out of that. Joseph, hey, I got the show Data Bank Brawl. I want to do this, that. So we kind of just launched that and, fall of 2015. And it's kind of crazy to think we're in what is officially our 7th season, but really 5-6 years of doing it. I told Joseph, I'm so sorry you got stuck with me the other day, but, still going and I think doing some of our best work. I think my fandom has grown, how I look at it, how I dig into it. And Joseph inspired a lot of that. Jennifer inspired a lot of that. So that's why it's still going strong.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of Star Wars creators, podcasters, YouTubers, whatever, like, I don't think we watch and listen to every single person's every single episode, but I listen to you and Joseph and Jennifer very, very consistently. You're always people who, like, if I'm not crazy about The Rise of Skywalker, for example, right. I just was devouring everything you guys were putting out about it because I knew you'd see a different side, a side that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and that comes from engaging with the story presented to us. One of our themes that Joseph kind of introduced with us, which doesn't mean movies are without. Survive. How did I survive that? I don't want to jump into the debate, but I finally saw Wonder Woman 84. I'm not a huge superhero guy. I didn't grow up reading superhero comics and stuff, and I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman a lot, and I actually enjoyed Wonder Woman 84. I get everything that people have wrong with it. But I'm not a critic. I never was a movie critic. There was some confusion in that. I was not on Jedi Council to be a critic of Star Wars. I was there to celebrate it and discuss it. So we bring that approach to Star Wars, but it's never if we don't like something, we don't like it, and we just choose not to focus on it.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of Thrawn in modern canon or in old canon anymore. But you know what? There's stuff I love about it and love about Thrawn, and I'll choose to talk about those aspects of it versus tear it down, because there's just no point to me anymore, especially the older I get, all the gray in my beard. Why am I going to spend time swirling around something I don't love?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. What's the point? And could it get you more clicks? Do people love? And I'm not talking, I don't mean that in an overly negative way. Just go get your clicks. I mean, we live in a cynical society, and that's easy. Cynicism and sarcasm. When I'm a very sarcastic person, sardonic and irreverent at times, and I get it. But like, when it comes to Star Wars, like, I want to be moved by it. I want to be inspired by it. I want to learn from it. I want other people to learn. That's why I at one point was just like, you talk about being welcoming. It's like, Star Wars should be a big table that we all get to sit at and talk and discuss and also have fun. I miss a little bit of discourse. I miss a little bit of it. It used to be fun. and it can be now if you're in the right environment. But I'm not talking about like on the internet, but like even in person. Like I get defensive. I get defensive, and I've been in some little heated exchanges on that other show I used to be on because I was really upset at some of just misinformation that sometimes is out there, and that spills over into if someone has an opinion, I'm ready to tear it down, which I shouldn't be. Yeah, that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
And so that's changed over the years too. It just used to be silly. When we started doing schmoes in 2012 as a just kind of a big live podcast, like those silly debates were silly debates to us. And we'd get off air and go across the street to Buffalo Wild Wings and have some wings that were delivered an hour late to the table as always. And that was it. And then it became, after a while, it was like your identity. And it's like, did you love Holdo or did you hate Holdo? You must have a binary decision, and that is you.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, you live it. You live it. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Oh, did you destroy the Raider?
We destroyed the Raider.
Oh, that's such a nice, generous thing to say.
I don't know what I did, but I think I actually set it so that we are playing completely against AI and like no AI quote players. So this is a little more relaxed. I'm happy about it.
Okay, I mean, if you need to step up for your street cred, step up the toughness, just because you're playing with Dad here, who's like, what's
I'm legitimately happy about this.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I game every day. By game, I mean manage my baseball team on MLB The Show. But though I am that Indiana Jones news that just launched on the day of this recording is exciting.
I am excited about that. I don't know what they're gonna do. Bethesda, I know that people love their games. I'm not really into their stuff. They've done like Fallout, what's the other one? Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls games. Like,
okay,
they're very open world. I tend to not enjoy that so much, but obviously I'll give anything indie a shot.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But is it going to be for all systems? Did I hear? I didn't follow the news story too well today. It's not just me like for Xbox or something, right?
I don't know. I don't know that they even said.
That would be silly. I don't know, but I just don't know the game. You know, sometimes we'll talk about it on Force Center, and people are like, "Well, that company," like, we don't know. We press buttons.
Yeah.
Oh, the little eyeball is you. I see now. Okay, I see. I can be your wingman. I can be your hero, Alex. We can destroy the Raider together.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to talk about. Oh God, your book, Why We Love Star Wars. What inspired you to write 100 essays all about Star Wars?
Several things. I always did want to write something. Star Wars made sense. 2, I lost. 3, I lost my job. It wasn't necessarily about money. Trust me, you don't make money writing books. Long story short, I had come out of the Collider phase as a full-time employee. I knew I was gonna be doing some Jedi Council and stuff occasionally, but I was done full-time, and I'd been at Screen Junkies and I'd been at Collider after leaving my day job of 17 years in 2015 and working 9 to 5. Actually, in my old job, I was on call for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 12 straight years. Never had a day off officially in 12 years, and unemployment was scary. It's the first time I've been unemployed in my life since I lost my radio gig in '98, which is when I moved to LA after that. So I wanted to take a moment, and it was just like, all right, I'm going to live off credit cards because that's the American dream, and figure out what's next. And I'd always wanted to write, but I'm a writer, but I was like, book's a different thing. And I was afraid to do it. I was really afraid. And met with my friend Alicia Malone, who wrote 2 books for Mango Publishing. Just like, I want to do this. And she said, in her great Australian accent, you can do this. And I'll put you in contact with them. And I got in contact with them. Great editor over there, Hugo, and pitched what I want to do, which was, I think it was 100 Reasons to Love Star Wars or some other different kind of title. And I had a big meeting with everyone there. The owner of the company, it was a virtual meeting. They're out in Miami. And I'd introduce myself to like 10 people, and the last person was like, "Oh my God, I'm such a huge fan of Jedi Council." I was like,
Nice.
that actually, all right, that finally is worth something. And so they were like, "Yeah, of course, we'll give this book a try." And it was quite a journey. I had about 2 nervous breakdowns in it, and it was it's fun. And actually, it's so funny as we're talking, like I'm gearing up to do it again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. It'll take a bit because we're launching the Good People Association and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna do some kind of, not a direct follow up. I'm trying to do something a little different, a little more personal with Star Wars. That is also hopefully a shared journey with other people. But
So still Star Wars centric.
look, I'd love to write about baseball, which is my other big love, and I did write a baseball column last year. Who am I kidding? I have no level of fame, but for what I'm known for, it's Star Wars. So
I was thinking you might do Game of Thrones or something.
I would love to. I got the Casually Talk podcast still going, and I'm doing a Game of Thrones rewatch on there, and getting ready for House of Dragon. And that's another world I just absolutely just love, as not as much as Star Wars, but in the same way, where I dig into the themes, the lessons, and what's that. I can spend so much time in that world. Without a doubt, after what the reception to not just season 8, but just the pop culture kind of zeitgeist turning on the show, I just like, and I don't want to touch that. That's going to be for me, just by myself, But yeah, I still think I have something to tell in Star Wars. So we'll see. But I'm afraid again. It's a process. It's a process to sit down and do that.
What was the? If this is too much, you don't have to answer. What was your biggest nervous breakdown over when you were writing a book?
You just can't get the words out, man. Like, and I was just writing something. I wasn't writing narrative or fiction. I was writing 100 essays. And the first mistake I made, I had done a episode of Force Center, but it was Spotlight Star Wars, I think episode 50. And I did 50 Reasons to Love Star Wars, was the podcast. Oh, I'm caught in a tractor beam. I am going to die in this tractor beam. And I'm dead. And so when I pitched the book, in the back of my head, I was like, well, this is going to be easy. I already have not only 50 moments picked out because I did it on the podcast, I'll just transcribe what I talked about on the podcast. I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to finish this book in 2 months. And I went back to that podcast. Number one, only 20 of those moments made it into the book. And not one word I said on the podcast made it into the book. Like, it was just like, nope, that doesn't work. I've changed my thoughts. I've grown up a little bit on how I view that moment, or just, nope, it's not hitting for me. So I had to basically start from scratch. And it's just, you sit down and, all right, today I'm going to write about, I love that moment in Phantom Menace where Padme kind of bests Palpatine for a moment and throws him off his guard by saying she's going to go back to Naboo and everything. And I love that moment. And so let's write about it. So you have all those thoughts. Yeah, I got it. And then you just can't get a word out. And it's not, I don't believe in writer's block. It's not really a thing. You have to, writing is a job. It's a craft, and you have to force yourself to do it. And you can work through it. You can be stymied. You can feel less inspired on days. That's why I'm tractor beam again. But it was late in the process, and I just remember Alicia had told me this, and I know other authors. My friend Madeline Rue is an author, actually wrote the story Eclipse in the first From a Certain Point of View book. She's great, and but Alicia told me, like, trust me, it's you are going to experience pain that you've never experienced before as a creative. And that was the case. There was one particular day with my head down on my pillow, writing on my bed in my bedroom in my old apartment, just screaming into the pillow, I can't do this. What am I doing? And you just got to power through, man, and have editors behind you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. We'll get ready to have some more nervous breakdowns.
Do you have a favorite essay that jumps out to you that you're really proud of?
Yeah. I love the one. The Luke Skywalker's death one, because I love Last Jedi. I love what they did with Luke. I love all that stuff. I didn't love it initially. I didn't love that Luke died initially. When I walked out of the screening, I had to sit with it for a few days. So that's how I wrote the essay, was Luke Skywalker died tonight, and how I came to kind of appreciate that and the peace and purpose and everything of the moment that I love. So I for that was very personal. Like, it wasn't just like, I like this moment and I blah blah blah. It was like, let me here's how this is what happened, what I experienced.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the screening and just, me and Mark Ellis just kind of like, okay, all that happened. How are we gonna, how are we gonna do it? And I think it's important. And nowadays in film criticism, or whatever the hell it's called now, film Twitter and everything, a lot of it's the job. I don't hold it against anybody, but like, I saw that with The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't, like it or hate it, I don't really care anymore. I don't care. But I saw so many people come out of the screening just their snarky tweets ready.
Yeah.
Didn't even
that's something
spend
that
1
you've
second with it.
talked about before. Yeah, sometimes you just have to let these things sit, and I absolutely think that's right. But also, yeah, when your job is a YouTube channel where people are like waiting for your like, I feel like I should start calling them reactions instead of reviews.
Well, yeah, and most reviews, and look, there's film journalism is a career, it's a thing, and I know a lot of professionals and everything, and it just, and I love that everyone has a voice. That's not a problem. But like, a lot of the reviews are just a rundown of the plot. Anytime I'm on a Game of Thrones show back in the day, and they're like, "Cool, we'll just go scene by scene and talk." Like, that's not a review. That's just like recounting what we all just watched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does it mean? What does it mean for the characters? What does it mean for you as a fan? Themes and lessons, like that's what's in these stories, and not everything's a plot line. I argue with the Game of Thrones stuff a lot. It's like, well, they didn't do anything with that plot line. It wasn't a plot line. It was a character in there to serve the main character. It was a character to give you insight into the larger story. That's the way I view these. Not everyone does. So I just kind of been burned on that. But so anyways, long story short, as I die again, God, that's now 72 deaths. That's why I approached that Luke Skywalker essay. I also like the one I wrote on Infant's Nest. I mean, it's really hard to say this. I actually hate everything I wrote. Let's be clear about that. But well, there's that factual error in like the first essay that slipped by me in every edit. I misnamed a Star Destroyer that I know the Star Destroyer's name, but it made it into the print, and it keeps me up at night.
Which one? Which one was it?
The Devastator and Avenger. I flipped him in my brain and was talking about in New Hope, which was Devastator, right? Chasing the Tantive V4, and I put Avenger in the book, but I caught it like it just it's that you just don't see the typo, and no one on the copy editing team, they were like, we hired a Star Wars expert, so why would we question him?
No, not gonna fact check it.
And I got the first copy of the book in my hands, and I went, "Oh, beep. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, we won it. We won this.
Yeah, we did it.
Woo! Everyone, give us a high five." So I love the Infant's Nest one because I love that moment. I wrote specifically. Look at my thumbs up. That's accurate. We're both the same guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the moment of. I wrote specifically about Infant's Nest taking her mask off, and in front of Beckett and Han and Kira. And I just called that moment like she's the new face of the rebellion at that moment, and what it meant and everything. So I like that because I really love that character, and I really love Aaron Kellyman as Infant's Nest. So there's that one. Another ones. I wrote about Ewok Hunt, the Battlefront 2 mode.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I love that mode, and that made me just really not realize how much I wanted my whole life just to pretend to be an Ewok killing stormtroopers. Game gave that to me.
Well, you brought it up a second ago, and I don't really know what the answer is, but what is the Good People's Association?
The Good People Association. So, long story short, there's a guy named Eric Bass of the rock band Shinedown. He got to know Mark Riley over the years. He was just kind of a fan of some of the stupid, silly things we've done on YouTube and stuff before. So he and Riley working on a project, and me, Riley, and Josh McCouga are still, close friends, and always, we got the Afternoons podcast, Josh and I with Amanda and everything. And at some point over the summer, it was just like the industry's changing. A lot of the bigger companies are going away. I was trying to keep up with Twitch. It just takes a lot to get all this gear you have out you see now to set up and do, and time. And then, I have so many podcast feeds. I'm trying to work on this and trying to maintain a life, there's was getting a little overwhelmed, and it's also a lockdown, a pandemic, and Patreon money is what it is, and you can't base your whole life on super chats and all that stuff, at least at my level. So, anyway, long story short, Eric was like, what if we all kind of form up and form a company? And so it's a production company. We intend to actually make scripted content and lifestyle content and that kind of stuff, which is something won't necessarily be public facing until it's made or we sell it and all that kind of good stuff. Because I've been in LA for 23 years now in comedy as a writer and all that kind of stuff. So trying to do some of that. But then we want a public facing digital brand. So we're gonna have that. So Good People Association, the GPA. We aren't necessarily good people. We are bringing entertainment to the good people of the earth, and it's going to be a charity focus. Our focus is going to be find the good, and we'll talk about some movies. We'll talk about silly stuff. We also have a show that is called High Stakes Fun that I'll be hosting. That's like Uno or board games or that kind of stuff. We got a board game show, like it's silly stuff that not everyone's seen us do before. And some stuff that we're known for, like people, want to hear us talk about movies. Riley's Cantina, he'll talk about Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. So, a lot coming. Launches, January 16th is our initial launch, but then the programming starts, and we'll have a website and a membership and all that kind of stuff. No Patreon page, something different that we're offering to folks to join and support and be part of it too, and build a community. So
cool.
Well, see, it's a fun opportunity. One of those things that just was like when we first had the initial meetings, we're like, but we're not going to be able to find an office. And like a week later, we found an office. Like, oh, well, we're not going to be able. Oh, well, we did do that. Okay, so there's no excuses anymore. We've got to do this. So it's been great.
Well, I like all the people involved, so I look forward to seeing what you're doing.
And we hope you and Molly come on. It's going to be a lot of, it's not just Josh and Mark and I. Obviously, we got a lot of folks. Some folks that a lot of people are familiar with, and some that people have not really seen before in our world. We're bringing in what I like to call in the old retail security days, new to market. We're bringing in new to market people. So I think it's going to be fun. It's an empire of fun is what we're calling it. So that's where we'll go with it.
Still got a hint of Star Wars in there. Can't escape it.
Yes, yeah. Empire of fun. Your new empire of fun. It's the worst Obi-Wan
ever. What was it like? You talk about being in LA doing comedy and stuff, and I've dabbled in improv. I've taken some lessons, but what is it like out in LA? Because you've told me some stories where I was like, holy cow, that seems intense compared to what the scene is like in Atlanta.
And Atlanta's a good spot. So when I moved to LA in '98, I started training at the Groundlings in '99. Everyone comes out here and eventually does some classes at the Groundlings. Groundlings is a famous kind of sketch comedy troupe and school. Started in the '70s, and Lorraine Newman got on SNL. She was the first member of the Groundlings to get on SNL, and eventually, Will Ferrell. Chris Kattan, Sherry O'Terry, Lisa Kudrow came out of it. Conan was actually in classes, and my old teacher was in class with him when he got hired to do SNL as a writer, and all this stuff. And she actually taught Fallon back in the day. So Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, and all this stuff. So I was there for 99, 2002 training, worked my way up. There's 4 levels. I got to the top level before you get to something called Sunday Company, and it's fun and it's great. You form connections. I got to my final class was with Kristen Wiig and Mikey Day and Brian Keith Etheridge, who's like a showrunner, writer, producer guy. Melinda Hill, great comic. Tim Blaney, who's the voice of Frank the Pug and Men in Black and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was great, super talented people, and you got to bring your A game, and you're also learning, but it is a competition because you're getting voted on to move up to the next level or get onto the Sunday Company, get onto the main company. And like anything, it's like Game of Thrones. Little intrigue, little backstabbing. When I was there, people like Melissa McCarthy and Jim Rash and Nat Faxon were on the main company. Will Forte had just got SNL when I started there. or he was on the Sunday Company when I was there. Like, you know, so you'd see all those folks around, Cheryl Hines, those folks, and so it's competitive because you're out here trying to make it. You're trying to get better, trying to make people laugh, but you know, you get on the main company. Next thing you know, you're on an HBO show, or next thing you know, you're on Saturday Night Live, and next thing you know, your life changes. And so that's naturally going to breed not just competition but stress and all that stuff. So that was the intense side of it. But after that, I moved into stand-up comedy, which turns out is worse because you're by yourself. At least with improv and sketch, you have a group around you. And so I did stand-up comedy, you know, Comedy Store and all that stuff from 2003. Stopped a few times. I loved to hate stand-up. And now I'm doing shows with Ellis and stuff, and slowly getting my way back into it. And better than I ever was, because it's just like I can enjoy it now. I'm not worried about my career being based off of it, you know.
I always just loved when you'd tell me a little bit about the Groundlings, and I'd be like, oh my god, like I've been taking lessons, but it's like a really fun way to spend a Sunday night. Just like, oh, a bunch of friends are gonna get together and goof off, and like that's it. Because in Atlanta, I mean, there are a lot of productions going on in Atlanta, but the people here aren't taking improv classes to make it their career. Like some of them are maybe just training a little bit to be better actors, but most people are just there to have fun.
Yeah, no, and it should be that way. And the lower levels of the Groundlings, and the school has expanded now. Again, you're talking almost 20 years the last time I was there. I used to go hang out in 2014. My writing partner Matt Key got on the Sunday Company, and so I went to hang out there again. Yeah, it's intense, man, and it's a fine line, like you know, of who makes it and who doesn't, and doesn't necessarily have anything to do with talent. A lot of it's timing, and but I think improv, particularly improv, is something that a lot of people should try out and test, and especially if you're broadcasting or entertaining, or you know, YouTube and making it big on TikTok, and that stuff's great. I don't mind the new way and the new way to make it, but I love being able to go on a stage and professionally entertain people, and I think people should take a shot, take some classes, learn how to communicate better, learn how to get your timing down, your rhythm, your confidence, and that can be fun. You're not trying to get on SNL. You're trying just to. They send a lot of it. I'm sure you experienced that in Atlanta, but like the Groundlings, like the first levels, you'd have a lot of people who were like, "Oh, I'm a CEO, or I'm a vice president of a company, and my company sent me here so I could learn to speak better at corporate events," or like a lot of that, and there's a lot of value in that. So I think you guys are doing great and having fun. That's the key.
That's really interesting. Just the idea. I like. Well, that's the point of the show. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's interesting. You're saying interesting about taking classes, or?
Yeah, I guess the idea that CEOs will go to learn different things. I mean, and yeah, we have run into that, but I think that for the most part, I just found it a way to like learn how to be a kid again a little bit. Learn how to play pretend.
Yeah. Yeah. I think forming character work through improv is. I used to do some teaching as well, and our mutual friend Alex Backus of BSR, he's a great improver and teaches improv as well. Forming characters is key, I believe, even for podcasting and broadcasting and YouTube. Forming a character that's not wacky, but like a broadcast version of you is a character. Mm-hmm. And that changes the game, changes how you present yourself, and raises sort of the stakes of what you're saying as a broadcaster. And so I think that's just valuable. I think that's what I would teach a lot when I was teaching it too, is how to form a character, how to form that kind of point of view.
I think that definitely shows in something like the Schmodown, where I feel like I don't really have. There's a bit of a character, but for the most part, it's just like, nope, this is just me. I'm here to answer Star Wars questions.
Which, by the way, is completely fine. That's a weird mix, especially when it starts going online. Oh, I'll tell you what, these Y-wings are built tough. They're Ford tough, these Y-wings. I'm playing this whole game not remembering how you make your heal yourself.
If you go back to the frigates, to the Nebulan
Oh,
Bees, there's a little
there you
supply
go.
area that you can pop into.
I died trying to get back. Yeah, sure. No, you and Molly. I know it was at first something you both wanted to do. I mean, you and I first, I met you two in person finally over the Schmodown at 2017 at Celebration.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing great. You're growing into it, and that's all you can do as a performer in the Schmodown. Obviously, I years of off and on experience in pro wrestling, so it's a different thing. But I've watched you. You play. You asked for a repeat when you knew the answer. So don't act like you weren't doing a character.
Ooh, all right. Barely made it out of that.
Good. I'm going to take down the Star Destroyer. I believe I can. I believe
I believe in you too.
Yeah, I'll never forget the name of Tivik after messing that. Messing up in that match.
Did you always like kind of the trivia aspect of Star Wars, or is that just something that came along naturally from, watching the films over and over?
I just have that kind of silly mind. I'm a big baseball fan, and I can name baseball. I know Jesse Barfield led the American League in home runs with 40 home runs in 1986. There's no reason I should know that
Right.
or still remember it. So I've just had useless information. I'm not alone in that. Clearly, that's why the Schmodown's popular. Star Wars was always that thing. It was never a know-it-all situation, which is why I've never understood like trivia gatekeeping via knowledge like that is silly to me, because it's like, that's not the point of a lot of this. It's the additional fun of it all. But yeah, no, like I mentioned the Wedge Antilles thing or Moff Gergerod. I mean, but back in the day, Tion, he didn't have a first name. Now he does, and so I'm love to know that stuff. So it just was always there. And I think one of the earliest times it was before the Schmoes podcast was going, but it was Schmoes Know was going as the YouTube channel. But we were doing the live comedy shows at Room 5 in La Brea every Thursday. That's where I got to be on stage with Roddy Piper and all that stuff. Mark Ellis and I did a Star Wars trivia contest, and we built it up. We kind of had a little a feud on the comedy shows, and we competed for his Red 5 vanity license plate from Virginia.
Ooh.
And I had this old T-shirt that was like a Princess Leia pencil drawing, real close up with her buns and the Satine's Lament blaster in your face. And I wore that, and I brought my lightsaber that I still have from like 1985 Power of the Force 2-line lightsaber, the Luke saber. And we competed, and that was like the first time I was like, wow, all the things I got made fun of for in life just got me a fun moment in my entertainment career.
Yeah.
So I can't complain about that. Oh, let's get.
I mean, what was it like to win the belt in front of just a packed room full of Star Wars fans?
It was great. Yeah, I can't lie, man. It was satisfying. It was not justification for, but yeah, I'll say it. I'm a nerd. It was justification for years of, ooh, you should take down those Star Wars toys from your room. And look, here's the thing. Whitwer's a machine, and that was the Nita match where he messed up Nita, and he just blanked and got eliminated. And it wasn't one-on-one. 9 times out of 10, Whitwer's going to beat me one-on-one. I came very close in the Iron Man match. I believe I had a chance, but he's got memory, a picture-perfect memory, a sense. He's a machine. A little bit of luck, he admitted some of his, in that team match we did, he took some guesses on some speed round matches, and that's all there. So it wasn't so much about defeating him in that match, but other people in that match studied so hard and had other Collider employees come to their apartments and said, this is part of your job description. You must read us trivia questions, and they wanted it so bad, and I wanted it bad too. We were in a house. We were in a Airbnb that weekend, and I eventually switched to what Ellis had an extra room in his suite, and I was like, I'm out of here. They were up studying, and I just sat in the room quietly by myself. And when I defeated everyone else, I'm not gonna lie, it felt like justification. But I remember I brought you and Molly in, and you guys were in the corner. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I pointed and I was like, that's the future champ right there.
Though that was before. I think I had met Christian the day before that match.
Right.
That was also just when my man crush on you developed, because again, you were so welcoming and nice, and I was like, we're just like this small YouTube channel, and the Collider guys are like, Ken's from Collider, he's amazing.
And I'm like, kill me, just kill. Yeah, no. Well, look, when I started doing Jedi Alliance, you start poking around, and that's how I used to watch Jennifer Landa as a fan. I used to watch her stuff, and I thought she was great. Hello Greedo, and he's matured as a fan. He and I, I don't think we're always on the same page of how we view some of the stuff, but he's got such a level head, and I love his stuff. So he was there, and it was you, Star Wars Minute. I remember Star Wars Minute. Yeah, and I don't want anyone to ever think I don't love. Like, I'm kind of a canon junkie. It's not how I see things first, but I want to know. Like, I love looking at the timeline and being like, when did this happen? When did Han do this? When did that? And that's why I really started watching your stuff, because it just was like, oh yeah, it's all. I could see it, and this is really informative. And a lot of people are out there doing various kind of things, but you just had maybe it was that southern, just aw shucks charm you had. I don't know, but it was great. So no, that 2017, that celebration in Orlando was just so memorable. I love Chicago too. Great times. I mean, and 2015, I didn't go to London in 2016, but those three conventions I've been to a lot of conventions in my career, especially in the last 5 years, with Screen Junkies, with Collider, with Schmodown, and touring. And was, fun work, obviously, but those three are the best. And it's Star Wars. It's the community of Star Wars. It's that when you're all there to celebrate one thing, it's pretty cool.
Agreed. Star Wars Celebration is just a weekend of pure joy.
Yeah. And I can't wait till it returns and we all feel safe enough to return.
Yeah.
Though I'll miss not seeing Daniel Kennedy stressed. If he's there as a fan and happy, I won't know what to do. I miss just walking up to Daniel Kennedy in Chicago and giving him a hug and letting him know it's going to be okay.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Do you have a memory, just as a Star Wars fan, that's something surreal that you never thought you'd get to do?
That I get to do? Yeah, I co-hosted a panel at Wizard World Chicago, which is actually Rosemont in 2016, which was the Carrie Fisher panel, and getting to meet her, and backstage she comes walking up, and this was unfortunately it was a couple more months before she passed, and she at the end of her life, I get it, she'd been through a lot in her life, and it was still Carrie Fisher, and it was still Princess Leia, if that makes sense. If you guys get what I mean. And I it wasn't just a crush, it was just like, wow, this is, if little Kenny could see himself now. And she looks at me, and I'm holding cards, and we're introduced as the hosts, and she looks at me and goes, I need to change my pants. Where can I do that? And I'm like, that's all my life has led to this moment. And I said, I actually don't work here. I don't know. But we had fun. So there's that kind of stuff. I was fortunate enough to go to the world premiere of both Last Jedi and Solo. I was a +1, and I always laugh because that whole shill conversation, which is ridiculous, and people don't understand how the press industry works. But I never actually was on those lists. I was always a +1. I got to go to the Solo premiere because Christian Harloff's daughter couldn't stay up late on a school night. Like, that was my vaunted shill access, was a 9-year-old girl who had to go to bed. But that was kind of surreal because the Last Jedi one, well, both of them, there's the VIP side, and our friend Dorina, who's also pals with our friend Nathan Hamill, Mark's son. We were all there, and we got to go into the VIP side, and I'm not gonna lie, you're standing 2 feet from Frank Oz, and I couldn't muster up the courage to speak because it's like, what am I going to say? I really just wanted to thank him for Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but I couldn't do it. And you know, it is surreal, and it's also, it's not as cool. You know, you have those moments when you're there as a kid, but it's also work. And it's great work. Believe me, I worked in a career for 17 years. It was quite the opposite. So that's why people don't fully understand it. But just as a, you know, when you go to some of the other events, like if it's Marvel, like I'm not a big MCU fan, so you know, it's like a work day. Like, God, I gotta go see the movie. You know, which I know totally sounds ridiculous and smug and swarmy, but Star Wars is Star Wars to me, man. And the Last Jedi premiere and the Solo premiere, you know, and it's just real. Like, you know, I got to stand, you know, again, not meet, stand, you know, next to Emilia Clarke, like as Game of Thrones, like that's all I needed. But my favorite moment was, they had served, you know, food at the, you know, like a dinner, like a tri-tip steak dinner, you know, buffet at the Solo thing. And I was going to go back for seconds.
It wasn't catered by Denny's?
It was not catered by Denny's. It should have been, because that spicy Carillion burger or whatever, that's great. I went back for seconds because that's what Ken does. He gets seconds at an press event. And there was Lawrence Kasdan getting a second helping of tri-tip. And I just, like, come on. Like, you know, I wanted to be like, sir, thank you for Indiana Jones and what you did with the Solo character. And I love tri-tip too, which now I don't eat much meat. But, you know, it was that kind of stuff as a kid. In the industry, I'm not bowled over by famous people. That doesn't impress me. And, you know, I know many people who've gone on to, you know, be very famous, and, you know, that's fleeting and it's pointless. But as a 7-year-old seeing Return of the Jedi, to look up on screen and be like, you know, one day Carrie Fisher's going to ask me, where can she change her pants? like, come on. It's kind of silly, stupid, and fun.
Which of the premieres was more fun?
I'll tell you, Last Jedi, simply because it was a naive time, Alex. Force Awakens, I did not go to Force Awakens or Rogue One. I was not brought to those ones. I did see screenings, which is great. Again, I don't want anyone to think I'm taking any of this for granted. I really don't. Because we had to fight for it. Like I'm not on a press list anymore. Like I'm back to, I had to buy all the books again and everything. That's cool. That's great. Last Jedi, because we didn't know. Like we came out of that screening. It was mostly positive, but again, a lot of people just with the okay, what do I? And we go downstairs to the after party, and there was the two sides to it, but we all had to go down to one stairs. And I get to the bottom stairs, and I bump shoulders, and I look over, and it's Rian Johnson, who was just dazed. And now one of my friends, David, went to college with him, and still today is friends with him, and had been texting him the whole night backstage, going, "Oh my God, dude, your movie's premiering right now," and everything. And I didn't want to be like, "Hi, do you know David Fickus?" I just was like, I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I go, "Thanks, man." And he just goes, "Okay, yeah." And like, he just like overwhelmed. Laura Dern was the other side of him, and it's like, it's kind of surreal, you know. But then the next day, and the week after, and then all the stuff that started happening, and killed by Pilot Air. That's the story of my life.
Oh, he's good.
Then it changed forever, and everything changed, and it's sometimes been a struggle to find joy in some of it.
Well, yeah, it's like now every Star Wars premiere, it's not just like am I going to like it? It's like, how is everyone else in the world going to react to it?
Mm-hmm. And what fights am I going to get out of it? You know, again, in the Rise of Skywalker screening, I didn't go to the premiere, but came out of the screening at El Cap in L.A. and I stand by it. That movie moves me. I call it's a spiritual journey. It's like going to church and hearing the choir sing. I love the movie for that. Is it wonky? Is it big? Is it kind of preposterous at times? Absolutely. That movie makes me cry more than any other Star Wars story, movie, book, anything. Still to this day, I get teary-eyed.
The second I got out of it, I was like, I don't think I liked that. I really want to listen to. I wish like Ken and Joseph were here right now.
Our friend Van, Van William, the rock star extraordinaire, same
Uh-huh.
thing. The second viewing we went with him, and he sat and talked with us before and after, and because he had already seen it himself, yeah, we again, we don't talk people in or out of anything. We just
No,
go,
no, no.
great, great. Here's how we view a lot of the stuff, and with Joseph leading the way, I think we're able to connect to some really deep emotional stuff that's there in the story for the story's sake. And sometimes I always say one of the most important things in Star Wars is Luke at the cave going, "What's in there?" and Yoda saying, "Only what you take with you." And I think a lot of people carry a lot of things into these movies, not just Star Wars, and that's one of the things I just kind of will get grumpy about. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker, man, it brought tears to my eyes. It still does. But the first viewing, I was crying, and that's my experience. It doesn't have to be everyone else's experience. And I came out of the screening, and just a lot of the people I work with were just stopping me, and they wanted to know that because they know, hey, I'm a quote Star Wars guy, and I would get, hey, what did you think? And I was like, I really absolutely love that. And they were like, they like pat me in the head, and be like, of course
Right,
you would.
right, yeah.
And then I'd see them tweeting some snarky stuff that was just, I think, factually wrong about the movie. Whatever. I'm not here to debate it. And it's just like, why am I doing this? Why am I worried about what they think or what they think about what I think? That movie makes me cry. Solo, Leia dying. It's not a Navy, sir. It's just people.
Love
There's
that
more
line.
of us. Yeah, there's more of us, Poe. There's more of us. I love that moment. Poe at Leia's the feet of her body, and Lando showing up and saying, "Well, we had each other." I just love that stuff. I love that stuff. The other stuff is what it is, and I love Palpatine in the movie, but that's another podcast where I don't even want to get into it. But it is what it is. That's my experience, and your experience is going to be different, as it should. But so going back to your original question, all of that, driving up, getting dropped off at the the red carpet of Last Jedi premiere, which was down in USC. It feels like another lifetime. It feels
Yeah.
like another lifetime.
Well, as we finish off this Star Destroyer, this will probably be the end of it. How are you feeling about the future of Star Wars? And we got Rogue Squadron, all these various series announced. What are you most looking forward to?
I am, in terms of just material, I'm super excited about the High Republic more than I ever was. The Light of the Jedi didn't change my view. I was like, all right, cool, this sounds great, and they're going to put a lot of thought into it, and they've been planning it. Great authors involved. I'm on board. Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule just has me in a different spot over that era of storytelling. As far as the other, I mean, we have so much. I hope that I love The Mandalorian. You know it. It's not my favorite, but I love it. It's moved me. I hate seeing the joy for Mandalorian used against the other properties, and I'm grown tired of that. I hope as Star Wars keeps putting more stuff out, that people will be able to enjoy their part of the universe. If you like Acolyte, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be something you enjoy. I'm looking forward to Andor and Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, more than other people might. There's just going to be so many choices, and I'm interested to see, I'm curious about Taika Waititi's movie. I am excited about Rogue Squadron. I'm also not worried, like the rumors and all the stuff popping up more about the writer being hired for the Kevin Feige movie we were just talking about on Force Center. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, because it's so far away. I'm not even worried about it right now. I'm just worried about what's in front of me, which is a whole lot of Star Wars. Like
you guys are always talking about the buffet.
Yeah, the buffet. You like going to the Star Wars buffet, but look, I mean, you're of an age too where you can go back and not imagine seeing all the stuff. We're so close to get to Star Destroyer. But go back to the late '80s. It was done, man.
Yeah,
Star Wars was done. Yeah, you had West End Games and some stuff was out there. I feel bad that I did that in an X-wing when I'm so loyal to the Y-wing. But if you were to go back to 1988 and 12-year-old Ken is sitting there and you were like, here's what's coming. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. Like a TV show, one TV show? Yes. Also about 10 of them. What? And the books and Legends and nothing against Legends, obviously. That carried the flame for so long. But that it's here, that it's official. I remember where I was, man, in my old office, my old job, seeing on Twitter, which was a different time then too, of George Lucas just sold Lucasfilm. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking? That's like,
I remember that too. Exactly where I was.
yeah, it's one of those days as a nerd kid going, wait a minute, and they're going to make more movies, which is interesting to know now that George might have been close to doing it on his own, anyways, which would have been a whole different direction that people, I don't know if we'd be ready for. Anyway, so I know our match is over, but great conversation. But that's where I'm looking for the future. There's so much Star Wars, and that's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for playing a few games, blowing up some Star Destroyers with me. Where can people find you online? All your various Twitter handles and podcasts and.
Yeah. Easiest thing, go to kennapzok.com. You can link to all the things from there. You can buy Why We Love Star Wars. Perhaps most importantly, go to at Good People GPA. Kind of an awkward Twitter handle, but so many Twitter handles are taken. Twitter or Instagram, go to Good People GPA. You can also find links. I don't know when this airs, but we have a website coming up very shortly. I just can't send anyone there quite yet. And we are going to launch soon, full slate of programming, a lot of cool things coming at the Good People Association. So go to at Good People GPA.
Awesome. Thank you again, Ken, for hanging out. And everyone go check him out because he's, again, just one of my favorite people to talk about Star Wars with. He's the best. Go listen to Force Center. Check out GPA, Good People GPA.
Good People GPA. That's the one.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching, and may the Force be with you.
Always.